Hello and welcome to Card Kingdom's weekly tournament. Today in the booth, I'm Josh Monks, this week joined by Casey Hogan. How you doing?
I'm quite well, Josh. How about yourself?
I'm pretty excited. You know, we had a pretty fun time in the booth last weekend at the feature match between Greg Mitchell and Jordan, and so I'm looking forward to doing it in a slightly more professional setting.
I think we're going to be a little more straight-laced this time, but I think that'll be still okay.
Yeah, and I think we have more than 2 pixels this time, which is also good.
I get my own pixel?
Yeah, we can get more than one. You got a whole face worth of pixels.
Holy moly. I don't even know what to say.
And so for round one tonight, we have Jonathan Hugh versus Brent Trout.
Longtime friends.
Yeah, absolutely. They're actually lending each other cards. They were standing next to each other when we asked them if they wanted to be a feature match. And I told them, you know, you might want to step away so the other person doesn't hear you. He's like, I'm lending him cards. I know what he's playing, so he can know what I'm playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Gentleman's agreement. So we have Rug Delver versus Goblins, which I've never actually seen these two decks match up. And apparently it's terrible for Rug Delver.
Yeah, that's what Jonathan said when he was going in. He was bringing himself down, trying to lowball his chances in the match, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Level his opponent.
It's not out of the question that the matchup's difficult, though. Goblins and Rug Delver like to attack each other on similar levels.
A lot of mana-based interaction.
That's right, yeah.
And we're going to head down to the match now, it looks like. So let's see what's going on down there.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, we have Brent on the left there.
That's right.
And Jonathan on the right. So looking at these openers, it looks like Jonathan has Lightning Bolt, Forked Bolt, Force of Will, Tarmogoyf. I believe that's a Brainstorm?
No,
it's Delver. It's a Delver.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's all blue. It's a Delver. And one fetch line. So that's actually a very powerful hand in this matchup. He's got an early threat. He's got a lot of early interaction.
That's right, and it looks like Brent's starting that off with a fetch land into a pass, trying to play around that stack.
Yeah, probably. Do we actually know if he shipped the turn yet? I didn't see his opener, so he might have something like a Lackey or Aether Violence.
I thought I saw a hand movement out of him, but it's and it looks like Jonathan's starting off his turn as well.
Okay. Yeah, so
yes, we see.
So there's another land for the draws, Jonathan, and he's going to start out with the Delver here. He doesn't need to use Burn Spell his first turn, so he generates some board control.
That's right, that's right. And we'll see if Brent can follow up with turn 2 play. Goblin's not known for starting out exceptionally quickly. That's a Tarfire?
Yeah, great removal spell to kill Delvers, and I like how he plays around the days. There he plays a land and then the Tarfire.
Yeah, it's easy to miss, but it's an important part of not letting Rug stop you from doing the things you're trying to do.
Absolutely. So we're going to see a Tarmogoyf here, which is pretty hard to answer. However, Brent does. It looks like he has a Stink Scourger in his hand.
Stink Scourger. Yeah, there's no way Brent's burning that thing out. The Tarfire in the graveyard and a creature in the bin as well. It's starting off as a 3/4. I'm sorry, it's a 4/5. Yep. Land, instant, creature, tribal.
That's right. No sorcery yet, but there's definitely a tribal.
Yeah. But Stink Scourge is going to get around the Tarmogoyf with huge toughness this early in the game.
Yeah, I imagine he's not going to jam it out this turn, but the turn that Brent decides to turn sideways, he's going to be able to get rid of that turn.
That's right. Rug decks prefer to have one threat on the board at a time. Let's see a Cavernon. What I can only imagine is Goblin.
I don't even know what else you could name in that deck and have more than 1 or 2 things. Most of the Goblin classes are pretty rare, and some of them don't even have classes.
I think the Matron is unemployed. She's a stay-at-home mom, is my understanding.
Absolutely.
We'll see what Brent wants to fetch up here. Going to see which direction he wants to take the game, either trying to go wide to get around that Tarmogoyf or go big with something like a Pile Driver.
It looks like he's hovering over a Ringleader right now, which is really good next turn if he draws a land. I don't think he's got a land in his hand. I could also see another Mogg War Marshal. That thing does block Tarmogoyf for literal 3 turns.
So long. But he finds a Ringleader.
Makes sense. There's going to be a Fork Bolt here, 1/1, and then that Tarmogoyf's going to be getting in. And that is a sorcery, so this Tarmogoyf is a 5/6 right now.
That's not a math expert, but that's real big.
Very large, very quickly.
Yeah.
I think you are a math expert. You just don't carry the card anymore.
That's right.
And we also have a Nimble Mongoose here from Jonathan. So this hand has gotten absolutely perfect for Jonathan. He's drawn second land to be able to cast his spells. He drew another 1-drop to curve out this turn as well.
That's right.
And that Nimble Mongoose is only a couple cards away from Threshold.
Yeah, he's got, looks like 4 in the graveyard now. Yeah, we'll see if Jonathan can't wrap the game up early, because I think that might be his best line of attack against this deck that's so good at generating board advantage.
Absolutely. It also looks like Jonathan's hand is 2 more Lightning Bolts, a Force of Will, and a Forked Bolt. So he's got a ton of removal spells here.
Forked Bolt definitely going to help him get around this Mogg War Marshal lock. There's a lot of blocking prowess coming out of Jonathan here, or coming out of Brent's side.
And it looks like upkeep we're going to see this Richard Import activation on the Trop. So tapping down the Trop there might actually have been a slight misplay. I think you want to hit the Volcanic.
Yes.
What I imagine we're going to see here is Jonathan can either Forked Bolt the 2 targets and then attack with Tarmogoyf, or he could say, I bet you're going to block with that War Marshal, I'll attack you, you'll make a token, and I'll Forked Bolt now.
No, he gets the the virtual 1-for-1?
One
maybe?
for one with the cost of a swing.
So he lost a turn there, which is I think what Brent was trying to get out of that turn. Anyway.
Absolutely. And so it looks like he draws a Goblin Sharpshooter for the turn. So if he can maintain board control for a couple turns, he can turn that into a huge amount of damage with another War Marshal tutor off the second matron in his hand.
That's right. We'll see how he wants to sequence these plays. He's still sitting on the Sting Scourger, but blowing it this early, not for much of it, or blowing it at this point in the game, to little advantage, I think.
If he has noticed that Jonathan has missed a couple land drops here, so maybe he attempt to bounce the Tarmogoyf, and then I really like Rishadan porting the Trop.
That's true. Requires Jonathan to draw a land almost immediately.
Jonathan does have a Brainstorm in his hand, so he could potentially tap the Tropical in response to the Rishadan port, see if he can draw another land, and then be able to cast the Tarmogoyf off that.
We'll see another Matron out of Brent.
Yeah, no, he's going to play this. He's not using the Cavernous Souls here, so he's saying, I kind of want you to counter this. I'm going to play something afterwards that you can't counter. This also plays around Daze very well because he has 2 lands on time. That's right. This is very proper sequencing against these Daze decks as well.
Curious to know what Brent's going to get here. I think he's going to go for another Ringleader here, try to stall the game out.
I could see another Ringleader. I could also see another Log War Marshal. But it looks like that is going to pull a Force Wheel out from Jonathan's hand. So good way to answer it, but even so, that's a huge card disadvantage for Jonathan.
Yeah.
This game is almost over though. Jonathan has, I believe, 6 points of burn in his hand, and almost lethal on the board.
Sting Scourge is going to stem the bleeding for just a moment, but I'm not sure how much longer Brent has before he can start racing this, what looks to be very soon 3/3 Nimble Mongoose.
Yeah, so we know Jonathan has he's got some Lightning Bolts in his hand. He also, I believe he just drew a Wooded Foothills.
Oh, that's very nice.
Very easy way for him to, it looks like that was not a Wooded Foothills, that was incorrect.
He's going to put the pressure on Brent here to get some card advantage in this situation.
So it looks like Echo's not going to get paid, which makes sense. You usually don't want to pay that when you're behind on board.
4's a lot. Even this 6th land here for Brent would not be helpful here. We see a War Chief. That'll give Brent a way to get some of the cards out of his hand. Plus, the second Cavern is very, very useful here.
Yeah, lets him cast both spells in the same turn. And it looks like this is only going to draw him 1 card, which is not that powerful.
And it's a Matron, which is at a huge mana investment.
Yeah, that card is very powerful in the slower matchups, but in these fast matchups, you mainly just want to be tapping out every turn. And so whatever you can get out of your spells is what you want. And 3 mana for a 1/1 is not great.
No, even 2. That's assuming that the War Chief gets to live to see the upkeep, or to see the main phase.
Cost reduction. So it looks like this, I believe this Nimble Mongoose is now turned on. No, it's at 6 right now.
Yeah, but it's about to be turned on with the Lightning Bolt on the War Chief.
Reasonable target.
Absolutely.
I see a big swing coming in.
Yeah, I think it's still 5, right?
I
Travel, instant, sorcery,
yeah,
land,
it's going to be
creature.
5 on the Tarmogoyf, but
Yeah.
the Goose is also at 3/3, so that's 8 coming in while Brent is at 5. So if he decides to not block this turn, he'll go down to 5, and then he'll have to chump block the Tarmogoyf next turn.
And he'll get a chance to reload with the Matron. Maybe he's going to look for another Sting Scourger. Or, well, he's not blocking here. Looks like he may try to find enough damage to kill the Tarmogoyf with a Cycle Gempalm Incinerator.
I don't know if he's going to be able to put 4 more creatures onto the board and also have enough mana left over to cycle, though. I don't know if Goblin's going to be able to get out of this.
It's definitely a big
Jonathan
ask.
told us that he's like, what, he never lost? No, his friend Eric Pay has never lost Goblins versus Rug Delver, and
We may see the first instance on camera here.
I don't think Brent played this game wrong. His hand was a little clunky. He didn't have the early drops, but
Maybe the one decision point for him was whether to mulligan or not.
yeah, one meaningful decision point. And so there is a Krenko, which that will make a lot of tokens next turn, but I don't know if it's going to survive that turn.
I'm not sure Brent's going to survive till the next turn.
Brent's at 5. There's 2 bolts in Jonathan's hand still, I believe. He only has 1 red source.
That's true. Krenko is a base 3/3, so he may need to, in an effort to protect his Nimble Mongoose, he may bolt the Krenko right off and then bash with everything. But then that just generates an easy block for Brent. But he's hellbent and needs a lot of help coming into this into his next turn.
Absolutely. Really have to see what he does. Jonathan has a Brainstorm. Maybe he says, I'll see what I can get off this Brainstorm. He's not using his green mana this turn. No, it looks like he's going all the way upstairs. No block on that last goose. That's a 3-3, so the bolt's going to finish it up. So that was a pretty quick game. That's really how Rogue Delver wins these. Get your threats down early, get your big threats down early, end the game fast.
Yeah. Despite being a deck full of creatures, Brent's really trying to look for the long game, try to control the pace, and get to the point where he can leverage his creatures with unique activate abilities. Most of his creatures are either accelerate or are 2-for-1s intrinsically. The Matron to find a Ringleader, the Ringleader to draw anywhere from 1 to 4 cards, or 0 to 4, I suppose.
Absolutely. He's also looking for an early Aether Vial. That really changes the matchups, especially against the Daze and Wasteland decks, because you can't really get mana denied there if you're casting it in for free.
Yeah.
And so these guys are going into game 2, and Brent's going to be on the play.
That's right. We'll see how the player sideboard going into the second game. Looks like Brent's taking out the Lackeys.
I like this a lot. Rogue Delver has a lot of answers for Lackey, not only in Bolt and early threats, but they also have Stifle they can use to interact with Lackey.
Oh, that's true. There's a triggered ability on dealing damage to the player.
And also, of course, the aforementioned bolts that I just spoke about. Those are very good answers for Delver.
Both lightning and forked. Yeah. Gotta say, drawing 2 lightning and 2 fork bolts really helped Jonathan cement that game.
Oh, yeah. Very good against these creature-based strategies.
Turns out Burn good against creatures, so against it.
Mother of Runes would be really good here for goblins.
Absolutely.
Of course, not allowed to play that card in your mono red deck. You could always try. Just cheated in a playoff Aether Vial and Cavernous Souls.
We saw Brent had plateaus in his deck.
Oh, that's true. I imagine it's not for Mother of Runes, but
could be for Thalia was traditional back when Goblins was on the scene. Must have been over a year ago.
Yeah, just about a year. So pretty much with the banning of Dig Through Time, the metagame has basically time warped back an entire year. So it spent 5 mana, took a previous turn after this one rather than the next turn.
Very interesting. It's a retroactive time stop.
Yes. Maybe it got misdirected. Maybe it got diverted.
Oh. Dig Through Time was not able to pay 2. You can't use Delve to pay for Spell Pierce type effects.
This is correct.
Look, and we see those. Yeah, there they are. Here come the Thalias and Relic of Generals. It's going to help Brent interact with Jonathan's slight graveyard strategies.
Yeah, I like the cards he's boarding out too. He's got those Lackeys. I mean, I believe that was a Tuk-Tuk Scrapper.
Could it have been? It looked like an Incinerator to me.
I don't think so. It's the guy that he's an ally whenever him or another ally comes into play. I think that's Tuk-Tuk Scrapper. I can't remember the name.
I think, no, it's definitely Tuk-Tuk Scrapper. We see, looks like a 2-3 split of Relics and Thalias for Brent here.
Pretty reasonable.
You see what's going on Jonathan's side?
I did not. He has moved a lot faster, and he also didn't do us the polite, here are the cards I'm boarding in and out.
It's very sporting. Well, it looks like we see some Submerges going back into the box for him.
Yeah, so he did not board them in.
Yeah, it's not Brent. Now Brent revealed a plateau, and also Jonathan was with his flank. Brent revealed a plateau off of his Ringleader, and it's historically Goblin decks either were white for disenchant type effects, or Thalia, Cavernon Soldier. Pretty clever. Or you were some type of gen colors. You've got Warren Weirding, another tribal sorcery, and Crescent Grip.
I've also seen ones with Tin Street Hooligan, I believe, the 2-1, that if you pay a green, you get them. I've also seen that in some mono red lists, because you can tap your Cavernous Souls for green mana. Declare it for green.
That's pretty clever, yeah.
It's very nice. I've seen some Goblins decks that are running like 1 or 2 of each duel, just for value, I guess.
Just to mess with them?
Yeah, just to get in your opponent's head. You're already pretty soft to Wasteland, and you'd rather those lands get wasted than your Rishadan ports and your Cavernous Souls.
Right, your Wasteland port type deck means you gotta have a lot of non-basics.
And the cool thing is you're also red, so you don't actually worry about these Blood Moon effects. Yeah. It's not something you have to play around. You're like, oh, nice Blood Moon. I guess all my mountains are mountains.
Red fixing, you got me here. Yeah. We'll see Brent on the play one more time. We're gonna update the game score right quick. So what do we see on Brent's side? It looks like a Relic and a Vial, a Port, a Mom, and a Plateau. And that could be Tuk-Tuk himself. And Jonathan fanning through his hand very quickly, putting it back on the table. We see at least a Nimble Mongoose, a Force Will, and another Lightning Bolt. 2 Force Wills.
He might be thinking about firing off a Force Will. I like this here.
Think very quick here, especially off of the port.
Yeah, really scary to be able to get locked out of your second turn and have your opponent have a Aether Vial. So we're going to start out with a Goose here. Brent thought it was going to get wasted, but that's not
reasonable. Especially when you open on colorless land into Aether Vial, then you get a lot of additional value by forcing the Aether Vial, hoping your opponent just color screws himself.
Yes.
Here comes Relic, pretty good against Force of Will. Against Nimble Mongoose.
Yes, it's going to eat a Force Will.
Yes, likely.
There's actually a second Nimble Mongoose in Jonathan's hand.
Looks like he's holding off on that to cast a Brainstorm.
Ooh, interesting.
What the? What on earth just happened?
So he drew into 3 sideboard cards in a row. That is a Torpor Orb, a Pithing Needle, and a Rough Tumble. So all 3 of those are very good cards to deal with Goblin's boards. Aether Vial is very good against naming things like
The Pithing Needle, good against the Rishadan port here.
Yes, Pithing Needle also stops Rishadan port. It also stops that Relic of Progenitus, which I could see being relevant due to the fact that Rough Tumble is deal 2 damage to each creature without flying. And so what you can do is, the way the rules work, is you can cast it when you have 6 cards in your graveyard, deals 2 damage to all creatures, including your Nimble Mongooses. Rough Tumble goes to your graveyard. After the spell resolves, state-based effects are checked, and Nimble Mongoose is a 3/3, so it doesn't die.
Very interesting. So let's see a Pyroclasm that your Nimble Mongoose can grow through.
Yes. It also doesn't hit your Delvers, which is very helpful.
Because it's creature without.
Yes.
It looks like Jonathan put back his non-sideboard cards and fetching them away. Pretty good brainstorm for him then.
I imagine this is going to get a Volcanic. He has a Bolt in his hand, so he probably wants to be able to cast that in the next couple of turns.
Yeah, if Jonathan were clairvoyant here, he could see that Brent does not have a turn 3 play out of his hand right now.
He needs a 3rd land to do that.
And we'll see, and this is an interesting sequence here, because now Brent is very naturally going to blow up his Relic of Progenitus in response to this Needle, which he was likely to do in any case.
If he does that, however, Jonathan gets the option to name that Rishadan port, and so he doesn't even lose value off of the Pithing Needle.
Oh, that's true.
As you name on resolution, so your opponent doesn't know what you name until it's already named.
And if you're naming the thing already, then you can't do anything about it. Looks like the one card off of the Relic was not enough, and Brent passes with no turn 3 play.
Yeah, and so that Pithing Needle is effectively on the Rishadan port here. There was no port activation on Jonathan's upkeep.
Yeah. Well, we see
Another Relic there.
Brent, again, looks pretty smart here.
Yeah, that was a pretty good line for him.
Yeah, Torpor Orb really going to put Brent on the back foot here. Even if he draws one of his many 3-drops or 2-drops, if he peels a Mogwai Marshal, going to have minimal ability for it to stall the game out.
Yeah, it'll still make one upon death, but not on coming into play.
That's right, because it's Leaves play and there's the end.
There's also quite a few other activation comes into play effects from the deck. Things like
Matron
and Ringleader.
Both good. Siege Gate Commander.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that one.
Sneeze Carter, which Brent showed in the first game.
Yeah, Jonathan actually asked. He wanted to double check the wording on it to see how much the echo cost was. Is my guess.
A scant 4, pretty reasonable investment here.
Yeah, and so here's what I like here. This Nimble Mongoose is attacking for 1. This Tarmogoyf is attacking for 0.
And this Mogwai Marshal is blocking both of them.
Yes.
Well, looks like Jonathan's confirming that the trigger got missed here.
Didn't look like Brent even thought about it. He knew that was what's going to happen.
That's right.
Jonathan's in a pretty strange situation here with that Relic of Progenitus, because if he decides to go for the Rough Tumble, after it resolves, Brent can go ahead and pop that Relic.
Gonna let him kill that Tarmogoyf.
Yes, get rid of Jonathan's entire board. So it looks like Tarmogoyf is coming in. Brent is tapped out, and that Tarmogoyf is a 2/3, so Relic can eat 1 card from the graveyard, but not both.
That's right.
So it looks like getting in for 1 point of damage here.
Brent takes it, 1 damage on the chin. Nothing to be afraid of at this
The
point.
small Goyf, the fair Goyf, if you will.
Joined by an additional fair creature, a 1/1 for 1.
A lot of 1/1s over here.
That's right. Brent's still looking for his 3rd land. Looks like he's going to have to go to the discard after here, which is pretty unfortunate for him, but little to be done around it. Now, it's unfortunate that Brent had lost his creature to the graveyard during his last turn. If he were to have access to an Incinerator, he could cycle the Incinerator, deal a damage to the Tarmogoyf, Relic himself, exile the Incinerator from the graveyard, and that would be 1 damage on a 0/1.
Oh, interesting.
But the presence of the second creature makes it unusable for him. We'll see if Brent makes that heads-up play of exiling his own creatures. Trying to shake the Tarmogoyfs.
Yes, those are quite a lot of 1-power creatures on the board right now. And there's a land finally for Brent.
And it's a cavern. Fantastic.
No more creatures getting countered. However, he doesn't have a lot of valuable plays. I know he has a Matron in hand.
It looks like he's about to invest a Chieftain.
Yes, which is probably just going to get bolted here. I can't imagine that it's going to be living a turn.
I would be surprised as well. But does present the threat of killing any of John's creatures, both of them in fact. We'll see if Jonathan wants to sandbag his. He put the lightning bolt back from that brainstorm.
Oh, interesting.
He cast it on that on the War Marshal.
Oh, that's
on
correct.
previous
That's right.
turns.
I thought there was a second one, but I guess that was incorrect. Jonathan is only down to 2 cards in hand.
Yeah, but he's got a real fat squad on the team. On the board.
He's got a lot of lands in play too, which he really has to watch out for.
He needs to invest additional sack lands so that he can buff his Tarmogoyfs, even in response to a Relic's activation.
Yes, this is true. However, they will just be 1/2s, and that War Chief is going to make the Goblin token a 2/2. So Brent can actually pretty comfortably block both and not lose a creature.
If John has an instant,
Oh, that's correct. He's bluffing Brainstorm here. You're absolutely right.
or any number of valuable,
I imagine he's not going to bolt upstairs. It's a pretty poor play.
it's a little questionable. Yeah, we see Brent worrying about the sequence coming out of Jonathan here.
I imagine they're having quite a bit of banter at the table, too. Both
Yeah.
these guys are pretty fun to play against. They got a lot to talk about. So.
Yeah, I think so.
We're going to see a fetch here before damage, so that's going to turn him up to a 2/3. Relic of Retention is going to need a creature down to a 1/2.
And we see that Brent didn't want to go for the ambitious play of blocking one creature each. Worried about getting 2
for 0.
Yeah.
1.5 for 0.
I would say wiped. Getting wiped. That'd be bad.
Because that War Marshal, it did eat a bolt and make a token, so
It's difficult to talk about gaining advantage here because
the axes we're measuring on are so different.
that's right. You see Jonathan with almost no cards in hand, but has so many more permanents on the field that it looks like he's in a position to take the game away, despite using his 2-for-1s early in the game.
Absolutely. So we're going to see an Incinerator here going to eat one of these Tarmogoyfs. Tarmogoyfs are they're 1/2 right
They're
now.
currently 2/3 because that Incinerator's in the graveyard.
Oh, that is correct. Right. You discard it, it triggers.
And we'll probably see Jonathan either figure this out or call for a judge in a moment.
Yeah, so the target is going to happen before you draw a card, correct?
Correct. You must target. You must, and this will be the moment where Jonathan will blow his instant.
If he had one, yes.
But he declines, and his Tarmogoyf hits the bin here.
The other one is not going to be bigger, though.
Well, it's back to the 2/3. But Brent gains a huge information advantage here. He knows that Jonathan doesn't have an instant he can cast just on the fly.
And so Jonathan's actually in a pretty awkward spot here, is that Relic can get cracked at any time.
That's right. Brent's still not blocking, and Jonathan has yet another awkward Tarmogoyf. Brent having a little trouble with math.
Yeah,
okay.
Dice are hard. I always get lost when I use spin downs, that's why I always write it down. I do both when I play a feature match, and it looks like these guys do as well.
Looks like Brent's finding his way out of his mana screw from earlier in the match.
Yeah, really what he's looking for now is a couple more land, I think.
Yeah.
He's at 4, but you can always have more against Red Velvet.
Absolutely.
Get your spells through.
Yeah, Jonathan in an equally awkward position, having 4 lands on the field.
Yeah. Rug Delver is not really looking for 4 ones.
Ranko, Mob Boss. That's a big one.
Yeah, so Brent knows that there's no more Lightning Bolts. Otherwise, there was a couple turns when where Lightning Bolt could have sealed this game up. And so he's pretty comfortable deploying this threat here. And if he untaps with it, he's going to be in amazing shape.
It has haste.
Does it?
The Chieftain?
Oh, right. Chieftain gives a haste. You're absolutely right. And so Jonathan draws a Brainstorm off the turn. So
That's very interesting. I might have preferred to sorcery speed.
activate Krenko, just
right.
in case your opponent has a Stifle.
Yeah, if they pop the bolt off in response, then that's. Oh well, they'd have to bolt the Chieftain in any case. But
Oh, so there is a Stifle for Jonathan, so that is a pretty good answer for that Krenko activation.
just the one turn though, I'm not sure Jonathan even wants to keep it. But the pair of Stifles means that he's going to have a lot of cards he can put back here.
Jonathan almost has lethal here, so he's just looking for a couple turns of unblocked creatures to get through. And that Krenko activation means that Krenko's not blocking because it's going to attempt to make tokens, and there's no tokens to block. So
That's true.
I really like holding these Stifles and deploying threats to get in there.
Brent getting ready to increment his board by a significant margin here.
Yes, 1 token in play right now. There's about to be 3 more tokens, so up to 4 tokens.
That is Jonathan really going to get a lot of value off of this Rough Tumble if he ever decides to cast it.
Krenko is a 3/3, and the tokens right now are getting pumped by the Chieftain, but everything but the Krenko.
It's possible that Brent, after 2 turns, just is going to one-shot Jonathan.
Yeah, deck is very capable of doing that as it grows. Is exponentially the right word? Yeah.
It doubles every time. Yeah, it's exponential.
Just making sure. I didn't want to say the wrong thing.
It's okay. I returned my badge and my plus sign in. Abacus. I've turned my Abacus and my badge in.
Okay. I'll always double check with a non-math expert, as you call yourself.
Oh, we see Jonathan with a lot of spells.
Yeah, so he's got 2 Stifles and a Rough Tumble, I believe, in his hand right now.
That's what it looks like from here.
Really powerful cards in this matchup, but I don't know if he's got a great place to deploy this Rough Tumble. But he decides to go for it. Brent is tapped out, so that Relic of Pretendus cannot get activated, so the Tarmogoyfs are going to survive the turn.
Yeah, Brent can tap the Relic in response, but to little effect. Although the Nimble Mongeese are definitely not making it through this rough tumble.
If Jonathan had one more card in his graveyard, he would actually have a great line here. In response to the relic activation, he could fetch and stifle the relic, which would get 7 cards in his graveyard when the rough tumble resolves.
That's a lot right there.
But that is not going to be able to happen, so those guys will be 1/1s. Just 1 point off the threshold.
So we'll see what Brent wants to do in response to this rough tumble. It looks like he's going to make the natural play of hoping that Jonathan doesn't know how spell works. But actually, Jonathan can't play in such a way that kills his creatures.
That is correct. They will guaranteed be a 3/4.
That's right. With the advent of the sorcery in the graveyard. In addition,
I like it.
I was reading a lot today. Oh, plus the creature in the graveyard.
Now there's a creature. Yeah. But save base effects would be checked on all the creatures simultaneously, so.
Maybe possible that his own creatures are back there. Possible that Brent wanted to wait to use the relic until the Tarmogoyfs were attacking, so that he could exile a creature out of his graveyard to shrink the Tarmogoyfs, but the Nimble Mongeese on the other side won't help there.
Absolutely. I'm a little surprised Brent didn't block. I probably would have.
Is it a trade there?
Yes, it is. They have 2 damage on them from the rough tumble.
And they're currently 4/5s. Sorcery, creature, instant, land.
Yeah.
Not tribal.
Not tribal.
Not tribal. Not just yet.
Regular 4/5s. The Chillwind Yeti of this game. Dirty one.
The Chillwind Yeti. For a second, I tried to think of what magic card that was. But
there's got to be some Yetis that are similar to Chillwind.
I can think of Stalking, and that's it.
Is there a Hunted Yeti? No, there's not.
No, the hunted creatures are all have strange creature types.
Hunted Wumpus is one of them.
You can't see, but I made a significant face at Josh just now.
Were you prepared for that one?
I was not prepared for Humpus Wumpus.
Humpus Wumpus.
Humpus Wumpus.
So it looks like we're going to have a Krenko here. And it looks like it's going to get activated at sorcery speed to make some blockers, and this is going to get stifled. So if I was Brent here, I actually would make this play on the upkeep to at least force my opponent to use mana on their turn when they have a mana untapped.
Reasonable.
And you also potentially get the window where Jonathan fetches end step. It's usually wrong, but it sometimes happens. So Brent, he should actually activate the relic here now that Jonathan's tapped out. And it looks like he decides not to do that. So the second Stifle in Jonathan's hand, I think, locks this game up.
It's going to be a significant blowout here. Brent required to block, has to use the relic's activation. It gets stifled. Brent loses his creatures, but man just dies. Yeah, there it is.
1 Glyph guaranteed getting through. And so, yeah, that is actually a match.
That's a wrap. Well, we're going to head back to the booth in just a moment after we get the score updated here.
And then we'll try and find another match, get that on camera for you guys.
I'll stay here. Before we dropped down to the match here, we had a little time to talk with Jonathan and Brent before this match. Jonathan could not have been less excited to play this match on camera. He says historically the matchup's exceptionally good on the Goblins player side, which makes sense. As the game, Goblins can let the game go long using those War Marshals, those Sting Scourgers, those Rishadan Ports, get to the point where Ringleader's going to hit the field, draw a lot of cards, make a lot of creatures, and then use that to leverage the Rug Duck out of the game.
Absolutely, but that's not what ended up happening.
That's true.
There was a couple big glyphs, a couple clutch stifles that really turned the game around.
Yeah, Stifle very good at that matchup.
Yes, a lot of targets.
Yeah. You got Lackey, Relic, Matron, Ringleader.
Vile.
That's good.
Wasteland, Rishadan Port. Probably not Rishadan Port.
That's a questionable. I'll Fluid Stifle it. Got me.
Alright, so that was the match, and so we're going to try and get another match on camera, come right back, so we'll be right back, guys, probably about just a couple minutes, so stay tuned.
Cut it.
Welcome back to the booth, guys. So we just got another match pulled up, and we're going to head down there in a second. So we have Miracles on one end versus Dead Guy Ale. Black-white, kind of Thoughtseize, mid-range, creature-based deck. I think they're Stoneforge Mystic.
I think so too.
Torok.
Dark Confidant.
Yeah, Dark Confidant.
It's another time warp here. Dead Guy Ale.
A lot more time stretch.
Ooh, now that's a stretch.
Alright, so let's go ahead and head down to the match now.
Yeah.
And these guys are going into game 3, so we're going to give them a couple minutes time extension for moving into the feature match area. So let's look at these opening hands.
Yeah, we'll see how it's going.
There we go. Oh, so they're still shuffling.
Okay, still good.
Perfect.
We see Thomas has an exceptionally long last name. We'll see if we can't get that back onto the entire screen. So we know the players are going into the third game here. Must have been progressing at a pretty fast clip for a Miracles deck to have wrapped up both of its games in a 30-minute time frame here. Now, Dead Guy Ale. Now, as I remember, that might be like a Stoneforge Hymn to Turok Sinkhole deck.
Yeah, I think Sinkhole. I think there's Tidehollow Sculler.
Sculler, yeah.
Mother Rune, Thalia potentially.
So, and it's distinct from just Black and Taxes, which isn't a deck that I know of.
I've never heard of that deck before.
Well, I know that that's a naming convention that I think had a little bit of success when these Death and Taxes decks started splashing blue, try to get Meddling Mage.
They get the Vendalion Click Spirit of Labyrinth interaction.
Now that's a lot of math, or that's a lot of value right there. See the opening hands. I see a Wear Tear and an Engineering Explosives out of Miracles.
I think Dead Guy potentially plays cards like Withdrawal.
Makes sense.
And there's usually, whenever you play Miracles, you want to board in your Wear Tears because you've got to assume they're bringing in something as an answer for countertop.
Maybe
whether
Double Rod.
Double Rod, Pitching Needle, things like that.
A lot of annoying. Plus, having the additional against a deck like this involving a lot of 1s and 2s, despite having Aether Vial, having access to a 1 and a 2 in the same card, very helpful when you assemble the countertop.
Yeah, it lets you float a 1, 2, and a 3 very easily, which is usually what you need to do against these early creature-based decks. They don't have a lot of high-cost spells.
Even something like sort of Fire and Ice, exceptionally good against a Miracles deck, gets countered when you have the 1, 2, 3 deck.
Yep. I'm always surprised Miracles doesn't play Wear Tear main deck. I just feel like the deck has so much selection and options that it's able to ignore it when it doesn't need it, and then the times where it does need it, it's able to float it for a long time.
In that flex spot, they seem to like Power Blast, especially, well, with the prevalence of Dig Through Time. And now that the format's shaken up, we'll see if there's a change in the metagame here.
It's definitely going more towards creatures.
We see both players take a mulligan to 6 and remember the Scry.
Always nice to see that.
Yeah.
I've been reminding my opponents. I think I'm probably going to do that for maybe another month or so before I'm going to spike them out and say, you know what?
Hey, it's optional. It says right in the rules.
Yeah, you chose to top it.
That's very sporting of you.
But I'll give them a little while. I'll get used to it.
I think
I've had one opponent remind me, so I figure it's reasonable to
pay it forward there. Yeah. It's like I like winning, but I'm not sure I like winning like that.
Yeah.
Well, to the extent that Magic is a game involving skill and memory.
It's using memory, I'd say.
No, that's fair. You got to remember to scry. All right, we'll talk about that. Well, we see a turn 1 with no play out of Thomas.
And this is a deck, against Miracles, you always want to get your cuts down early as soon as possible, so missing your turn 1 play is actually pretty bad. It gives Miracles kind of a respite.
Yeah.
Respite?
I think it's Respite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close enough.
The Kamigawa Sorcery Arcane Joyous Respite. That's how I learned how to pronounce that card.
Ooh. I did not play during Kamigawa, so.
That's okay.
A lot of people didn't.
Based on the decks back then, too, a lot of people did not. What was a card that made you skip your tap 5 permanents and skip your entire untap set?
Yep.
The whole thing. That's terrible. How are you going to do that to somebody else?
Hokori Dust Drinker?
Oh, God, I love that format. Now, wait a minute. That's a Bayou. That guy is not supposed to play Bayou.
So he told me it was Dead Guy Ale, but I have a feeling that it might be some sort of more Mavericky deck. It looks like there's a...
It might be Deathrite Ale.
Ooh.
We see a Dark Confidant hit the field.
There's a Mentor in his hand.
Holy. Is that a Mentor of Meek?
No, that's Monastery Mentor.
Oh, that's less exciting, but probably better.
Probably better.
Yeah.
And I believe a Swords to Plowshares and a Jite or the other...
We see a Swords on a Philo side as well.
I imagine this Bob is going to get Swords.
I think so too.
Easy way to get rid of it, and that's a card that, as a Miracles player, you don't ever want to deal with. It just generates so much card advantage.
Yeah, and the life loss is not meaningful until the turn that you kill them. We see a Tundra. out of the Miracles player.
So maybe he's not afraid of Wasteland here?
Reasonable against a deck that goes Scrubland Value.
Yeah, this is true. I imagine he's probably seen a Wasteland, maybe too. I feel like these creature-based decks have to run Wasteland.
It's even against him in this Miracles matchup, it's not exceptionally effective.
And there's a Sensei's Divining Top. Okay, so I have no idea what card. Like, you could honestly name almost any card, and I believe you it's in this deck.
I believe that's traditional in some Dengai decks. It interacts well with Dark Confidant, which is the main source of card advantage.
Okay. It's very good with Mentor. You can always pop it on your upkeep.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, maybe he's trying to assemble the Mentor ball lock. Well, it looks like some confusion here about whether the top had resolved. And,
okay, so Thomas wanted to top before he passed the turn. I don't know if I like that. I'd always wait till my opponent's turn.
He may be looking for a third land so that he...
to spin it?
I'm not sure that I like doing that either.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really worthwhile.
Or maybe he just wants to activate the top against the countertop. Okay. I think maybe
he wants them to taste what it feels like.
It doesn't feel good.
So draw for Milo here. It looks like it's another land. So at this point... Oh, Thylo. Sorry.
I think it's Thylo. It could be Thilo. I should have asked.
I heard a really heavy accent.
Maybe Tilo.
I believe it's Russian. I'm not 100% sure. Not one to quote.
Strauss, I think, is a German last name.
Okay, it might have been German.
Hard to say. Well, in any case, the Sorcerer Speed Brainstorm here. It looks like the Miracles player looking for additional lands to play.
Well, it looks like he just put 2 lands back. I think he's looking for tops or he's looking for counterbalance. He's got a lot of lands in hand.
Oh, that's right. Well, looks like he's going to blow this fetch land, Sorcerer Speed as well, maybe trying to land this counterbalance.
Yep. I imagine he's going to play a Ponder here.
Ponder?
I believe that's his hand.
Really? I thought. Okay.
He's really looking for a top, and so playing a Ponder here gives you mana to also play top.
That's fair. The counterbalance... Oh, I suppose you're right. There could be an argument for resolving the counterbalance here.
I don't think he has a counterbalance in his hand. I think he's got 3 forces in his hand.
Oh, that's a lot of forces.
Yes. Engineer explosives, 2 forces, and a scalding taunt.
Maybe the explosives would get confusing here. The explosives has that long line and just
exploding stuff in the background.
Yeah, that's right. Counterbalance, also some explosions.
So he's going to keep and draw, and it looks like it's a top. So he found exactly what he was looking for.
Very good sequence out of Tilo here.
Is that a Bitter Blossom?
It sure is Bitter Blossom. It's a good thing I got Fairy Rogues in that in the token box.
Oh yeah. I hope they know.
I'll go let them know.
Okay. We'll make sure that.
I think I had to buy some when Jordan Isato was on camera playing that weird
this deck, the mid-range deck. Yeah, that's correct. I remember that. That was a fun one. It's fun to watch. When he killed himself with his own Bitter Blossom. That is going to pull out a force from Thylo? Well, his hand, the Miracles player's hand.
I was saying it like that. So we see the top into span into playing a land. That's interesting.
A little strange to me. I don't know what you get doing this rather than just
drawing a turn. Well, he does have the Monastery Mentor in his hand.
Maybe
so
he's looking in his hand.
He may be looking to go land Mentor.
Well, he doesn't have no land in his hand. Otherwise, he would have just played land.
That's a good point. Maybe he's looking to farm an Elder Spirit guy. Or maybe he's just looking to do stuff.
Yeah. Like right now, he would be in the same board state, but with a top in play if he didn't flip right there.
Yeah. The presence of the Mentor may make, like you said, may want to have that top in his hand, get a Monk token as soon as he casts it.
I suppose. I feel like when you crack a fetch, though, activating top should be the next thing you do.
That's true.
If you could choose one thing, it would be activate top.
For me, it would be tap out to play a creature. That's my preference. But instead, here comes the Sensei's Divining Top. That's neither of these things.
Yes.
You had to cast it.
No activation either, is what we're going to see. So last time he decided to activate right away, but this time he's going to wait till his opponent's end step. Now he has 2 mana, so it makes even less sense in my opinion.
He could be trying to flash in Scrib Ranger?
Script Ranger. Yes, that is the 1/1 with flash with Pro Blue. He also, I think he might have an Abrupt Decay in his hand, and so maybe he's afraid that there's going to be a counterbalance coming down.
You're looking at well, here comes
the
one
counterbalance
right off the top. We'll see if that meets its end abruptly.
Suddenly decayed.
Very quickly.
And now, I wish Abrupt Decay had Split Second. The wording of the title makes it sound like it should be Split Second.
I wish they had used the name in Time Spiral. They had made Crossing Grip call that Abrupt Decay.
Oh yeah, I like that a lot too.
Although the name is pretty, it's a black card. Abrupt Decay. We see a follow-up Bitter Blossom. after its predecessor got Force Willed. We'll see how the Miracles player reacts to this one.
And he's got a Force Will in his hand, but he doesn't have a blue card, so maybe he's looking to find a blue card, flip it. Oh, and I believe that was a wear.
I think that was wear. Man, that's going to be really good if he gets to cast both of those cards.
I assume that he's only going to wear. Is wear the white one? I always get two mixed up.
I think it's the white half and then the red half, and then it's wear turn. So I assume that it is wear.
Okay, so I'm assuming he's just going to wear. Trying to tear a top doesn't work very well.
True, and he would have to use his fetch land to find a red source. And he likes to have. He looks like he wants to have access to a quick shuffle with the top of play.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to get a quick judge call here. I think he's asking about a specific interaction with wear tear on his board.
He may be asking to know if casting wear and tear is good at the same time.
He probably wants to know if the card is fused together, even though cards work that all their targets have to be countered for the spell to be countered on resolution. He just wants to make sure, because it's a split card, maybe that's not how it works. Yeah, it's always worthwhile to ask if you're never sure.
Split cards with fuse are confusing to me, and I'm pretty good at those.
Yeah, split cards are kind of weird. Split cards with fuse even more weird. Cascade in the split cards also very weird.
Oh, but also very smart.
Yes. Not a lot of times Bloodbraid Elf cascades in 6 drops.
Ooh, but when it does, it feels good.
Sometimes you blow up all the lands with a boom bust. So yeah, it looks like he is just going to go ahead and wear.
And play that Demystify. He's at, I think Thomas asked he didn't want to fuse it. Would have been a sweet play here, but now look at the second game in a row where Tarmogoyf would be so big.
Yeah, we got a Tribal and Enchantment today.
Back-to-back Tribal.
So there's land number 4 for Thomas, so I imagine he's going to play the Mentor here. If he had the top now, it'd be pretty good.
Yeah, but he deployed it a turn ago.
Yes. He could have flipped it last turn, that would have made sense to me. I would have done that.
But, well, maybe he's got yet another top coming. No, it's him. Oh, that one's pretty good.
Make you discard your 2 cards.
Entire hands.
Hitting your opponent when they have 2 cards in hand with discard 2 is probably the best time.
I think so.
Mind Drought has never felt so good than when it costs 2 mana. I always feel like Mind Drought should have costed 2 mana. I guess that's too good. Like, Hymn to Torog is clearly way too good.
I think the cost of double black is not significant. Although the risk of it getting diverted is, well, you know, historically hasn't. Thomas unbelieving that he cast a wear tear. The risk that it gets diverted, not enough to dissuade players from still playing the Hymn to Torog.
Yeah. So it looks like we're going to see a Flash then Snapcaster in response. I imagine this is going to target a Brainstorm. The Brainstorm's not going to get casted yet, of course, as you have to immediately discard the card. But
unless he's trying to protect his explosives, but
he only has 1 card in hand, so if you Brainstorm, he would have 2 and then discard both of them.
He'd get to put the explosives back and another card and then lose.
Oh yeah, I suppose you're right.
He'd have to really be banking on these explosives.
So this end step, we're going to see this fetch. So Snapcaster Mage is still able to flash back Brainstorm here, and I imagine it's going to end step Brainstorm. You could also end step Activate Top. At this point, they're functionally almost identical. I guess.
Except you end with an additional card.
Yeah, Brainstorm gets you another deep. You're right. Always right to do that.
Plus, it's just, you play the Snapcaster, you gotta play the Brainstorm.
Yeah.
How can you not? How can you not play the Brainstorm?
Speaking of Snapcaster, have you seen the Snapcaster Mage art?
I feel bad for Tiago, the Invitational player.
They really like doing that to Invitational cards. They're like, we know you made this card, and now we made it.
And we're done. And it's a bad feeling, but it is, man, that's...
I like the art a lot. It feels a lot more what Snapcaster does, which is Flashback Lightning Bolt.
You are clearly a modern player.
Yes.
I think Snapcaster flashing back Swords of Plowshares is the main use of the spell that I've seen.
I usually see Ponder, that's kind of why I see.
Ponder? Ponder. Oh, Ponder.
Snapcaster Ponder.
A slow flash creature.
Yeah, sorcery speed.
Yeah, Tiago passes with both hands, really looking for Thomas to do something. He's gonna play a Monastery Mentor.
Yep. And he's got a mana untapped and a top in his hand here, so he's probably just going to jam that.
Yeah, I imagine Tilo's going to look for something to interact with.
Yeah. Gotta imagine he's hoping to draw a counterspell here. At least find one to flip top and draw a counterspell.
Yeah, even if he peels the swords here, that's still quite good.
He does have a fetch land, so he's able to correct the fetch look again.
That's true. Well, I think Monastery Mentor is a reasonable enough threat that I'd want to... Oh, well, he lets it resolve.
It's also pretty easy if you have a Terminus to just let the Mentor resolve, because you still get all of them. But it looks like the Mentor resolved, but in response to the top cast?
He's kind of
Brainstorm? Okay. I'm a little confused about the order.
Oh, well, he wants to get the swords now.
Okay.
Thomas, he doesn't want to let Thomas go land second spell.
Okay.
Or something, I don't know, something weird like a snuff out on his Snapcaster Mage.
Okay.
And also in response to the Prowess trigger. That's actually kind of makes sense. Gives Thomas 1 fewer life.
It feels like something you should have done in response to the Mentor, and then just done it after the top got put on the stack.
Oh, sure. Well, he wants to make Thomas use all of his mana if possible.
Okay.
I think that he sees it as inevitable and wants to uses the reasonable heuristic of don't play my spell until the very last moment.
Okay.
Or don't pull the trigger until I have to.
I guess that makes sense. It would have been very bad for that if Thomas played another land.
And then another spell.
Yes, if he went Mentor, land, and then play top, and then has mana for Swords Up.
Oh, that's true. He's got a target for the instant, for the spell, in the form of that Snapcaster Mage. Although now that I think about it, it's possible that Tilo just wants to say, sure, resolves, and he gets the 1/1. Bank on Thomas not having exactly land spell in his hand, then untap, draw the swords, kill the Mentor, and then have an extra Brainstorm in case he needs to get wild with Terminus later on.
Makes sense. I like that one a lot too. So it's going to find a Volcanic Island. The only red card we've seen so far is Wear Tear, and I imagine that he doesn't have Pyroblast in against this jump deck.
Reasonable, I think. Maybe he's trying to cast a Pyroclasm. Engineered Explosive is also functionally red card here.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right.
I think that the Miracles deck really wants to kill a Mentor really fast, and Explosives for 3 lets him go up to.
Although there's a Council's Judgment, which that's a good way to deal with top when your opponent has another permanent, as they cannot flip the top in response, or if they do, you choose to name something else.
You can't react to voting.
Yes.
That would just be reasonable. Kind of violate the democratic process.
Yeah.
The Mage is on... where is that?
Blue players get the most value out of that, I feel, with cards like Boomerang on Summon.
Oh, that's good.
And so there's a Jite getting jammed for Thomas.
That's pretty good.
There's a Monk token, so he can definitely get suited up. The Monk is a 2/2 right now.
Prowess trigger. We'll see if Thielen wants to blow a spell now.
Quick is going to top.
Yeah, it's the same cards that it was.
Yep.
Still a Council Judgment and something.
I think there's a land and then Council Judgment, and I don't know what the card is.
Now I feel good voting on Umezawa's Jite.
Yes,
that feels good.
Not a lot of things your opponent can do about that. Yeah. If you have a Wear Tear, though, I could see playing the Council's Judgment, trying to bait out your opponent, assuming that you're going to name Jite, name the top, and then Wear Tear the Jite.
That's pretty tricky. I like that.
That'd be spicy. Lets you get rid of your opponent's things. No soup, though.
Yeah, Thomas playing with fear here. Doesn't want to get time locked.
I'm a little surprised you played the Jite at all, then?
Prowess trigger.
Okay, and it looks like we're going to see a Thoughtseize post-combat. That also seems a little strange to me.
Okay, now I'm also a little confused.
I feel like the sequencing there was a little bit incorrect.
Maybe...
So are we going to see another top activation here?
I can only imagine.
Oh, we're going to see a Brainstorm.
Yet another one.
Okay, so
it's
the
fourth of the game, almost.
Yeah. Yeah. One of them counts twice, so...
Not true.
Get the double tap on that, so... 3 unique Brainstorms.
Still good, I think.
Still draws a card.
Bet it's a land.
Yeah. Got really lucky there.
Oh, man, so lucky. Had a land.
No spells.
Yeah. Thomas got to be frustrated with the blue player's ability to set up his draws so finely with both the top and the continuous flow of Brainstorms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's going to draw. I imagine it's Council's Judgment. Not 100% sure.
Well, we saw the land that got...
no. Looks like it's not Council's Judgment.
Yeah, the Teal not afraid of a Monk with a Jite on it.
Okay.
Again, continues to threaten or bluff with an instant speed removal spell in the form of maybe Lightning Bolt. Could be something weird. Could be Crypt Command. You know?
Maybe what he's doing is he's waiting for Thomas to play a Bitter Blossom and then draw Snapcaster Mage and Snapcaster the Wear Tear. Oh, actually, that doesn't work.
Because you fuse, you must cast from the hand.
Yes.
If you hadn't said that it didn't work, I wouldn't have remembered. But
I always forget that. I've had that come up before.
Playing around someone making an illegal play.
Yes. And then he ended up making the illegal play, and then I was just like, let me double check this. I put the cards in the graveyard, double check. I'm like, oh no, that actually doesn't work.
So we see the Jite with some counters on it now. A fearsome position if you are a creature deck. Tilo, not that though.
Not as threatening. Yeah. He still has that Council's Judgment, so I actually like the way he lined this up. We're going to see an end step, Entreat the Angels. He put that top into his graveyard, so let's
okay, I'll send Josh over to the table to deal with that. Fortunately, a pretty easy fix. The top just got shuffled into the deck, and we know that the Miracles player mustn't have cast a Brainstorm during this game, or during this turn. Entreat looks like it's going to be for 4. Yeah. Good catch on that one.
Yeah.
I would have missed that one myself. Intrigue for 4 here, that's a lot. That's 16 damage. It's going to make Thomas use at least one of the Jitse counters.
Gain some life. I imagine it's probably going to gain 4 life, as there's still that Dark Confidant to play. Keep Trigger will also potentially deal damage. There's a top. Never mind. That's not going to deal damage.
And Thomas could kill his own, well, Tilo not having angel tokens. That's unfortunate.
I don't know if we have angels in the box.
I think there are at most one.
Okay.
But that's okay. We can let this one slide. I don't anticipate this game going much longer. So we see 4 angels on the Miracles player side.
He draws a Terminus for the turn, so the other Miracle.
Ding.
I like how he slow rolled the draw like you normally do with the deck, but didn't actually look at the card until he put it in his hand.
Yeah, we see... Yeah, Thomas is going to fall to 2 from this combat.
Makes sense.
Really under the gun here, hoping for Windstorm? He was hoping for land off the... Oh, that's not very fair. hoping for land off the Dark Confidant, and just max that.
Okay. So if I was... Okay, so it looks like that's actually the match. So there's only 1 minute left in the round, so I don't think we're going to get another match on camera, but we'll be back for round 2 in just a little bit.
That's right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We're going to come back up to the booth just right quick.
Awesome. Welcome back to the booth, guys. Again, I'm Josh Burns. This is Casey Hogan. And from all of us here at Card Kingdom, we'll see you in a little bit.
That's right.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hello and welcome back to Card Kingdom's weekly Legacy Tournament. I'm Josh Melms, joined in the booth by Casey Hogan.
Josh, that was a whirlwind round one, I think.
Yeah, we had a couple pretty sweet matchups. We had Rugdelver versus Goblins, and then we had Miracles versus Dead Guy Ale, which I'm still not still not completely sure that it's not just Maverick.
He had a Himdatarok. I think that makes it not Maverick.
Okay.
But it's difficult to say.
I have played that card in my sideboard against the control decks. So.
Did you have an Urborg to fetch up? Which would be sweet.
I did not. Also, you can't fetch Urborg. It is not swamping your deck, so.
Listen.
You guys know the Reliquary.
You got Weathered Wayfarer. The
right.
three-colored Maverick deck absolutely has to have Weathered Wayfarer.
I wasn't playing it.
That's unfortunate, but I understand why you would.
I like Vile. That's why.
Okay.
But yeah, so we're gonna head down to the match now. It's maybe not quite yet, but very soon.
I think
So for this round, we have Zach Onimus playing Jeskai Stoneblade. He's played this deck a ton. He's very comfortable with it. If I was showing up at a tournament and playing against him, it's what I would assume he'd be playing.
That's right. His backup deck is, I think, a Grixis Thieves deck, but our TO, Chris Cornejo, has really taken that mantle away from him.
Okay.
A lot of deck fade in this notion. But anyway, that's not what he's doing.
Yeah, and then on the other side, it sounds like there's the Netherlands, which it's a lands deck with a Nether Void in it. That's where the name comes from. It's a good name.
Oh, it's really something. We got to see him on camera maybe a month ago.
Yeah, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks. I wasn't casting at the time, but I remember hearing it.
It's normal land strategy. He's got the Theft stage combo, but he's got Living Wish. He's got Nether Void, and we'll talk about what Nether Void does later on in the match, hopefully once it hits the field.
Yeah, once it gets on into play.
Yeah, and he's just got a whole slew of cards that interact positively with Nether Void. He's got Life on the Loan. Kind of the engine helps you pay out of the Nether Void lock, and yeah, Abrupt Decay, Loxodon Smiter.
Can't be countered.
From the last troll.
Can't be countered.
Not possible.
Any other things that can't be countered in the deck? Does he have Vexing Shusher in the deck? That'd be really sweet.
I don't think so. Double green seems like a stretch for this mostly black white deck.
Alright, fair enough.
Or black green deck. But it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You only have to pay 1 to get through the Nether Void versus paying 3.
Yeah, because you don't need to make itself not be countered because it's already can't be countered.
Yeah. And then instead of paying the 3 to prevent your own spell from being countered, as a result of the Nether Void trigger, you just pay the 1 for Vexing Shusher.
Does Vexing Shusher target spell can't be countered or target creature can't be countered?
It's target
creature spell, sorry.
Spell
or creature spell?
I'm almost certain that it is target spell, and it's possible that it's target spell you control. No, it was printed in that era of really trying to appeal to multiplayer aficionados. We'll get a look up on that in just a moment.
So it's kind of bothering me as well.
Yeah, Vexing Shusher can definitely target any spell that you control, but it's possible that it can target your opponent's spells as well, or additional players in the game.
I'm still not sure if it's creature or any spell.
It's any spell.
It's target spell. Okay, you're right.
What'd you think? Did you forget?
I wasn't sure if it was creature spell or target spell.
Sure. So you see these, both our players getting warmed up, getting ready to start their first game in the match. Just out of the gate, how do you expect this match to run down?
So Jeskai Stoneblade has a lot of ways of cheating spells into play if they get them down early. Things like Stoneforge Mystic, cheating spells. It, however, does have cards like True Nemesis that it really wants to resolve.
Absolutely.
And so it might just have to pay for those.
Yes. It looks like Zach is going to start us off here. He's sitting on, what a sport. Yeah. He's got a click, a Lavamancer. I didn't look at the cards.
Force of Will, I think I saw 2 lands.
I was too busy being happy that he was showing us.
Yeah. Oh, and then Sean's going to do us one better and also show us, but make it even harder to see the cards that he's going to show us.
That is definitely a Scavenging Ooze.
It's a good card.
I like it in this matchup.
It's good versus Snapcaster, like we were just talking about last time. But I don't know if there's a lot of other times that it'll come out to be relevant.
Sure. I mean, just a base 2/2 against a 2/2 that with the ability to grow in this matchup. We hear you. That's a Tranquil Thicket. I hope that's true. I hope that's Hickory Woodlot, but I'm pretty sure it's a Tranquil Thicket.
Yeah, it's Tranquil Thicket.
That's a shame.
You can tell because it's got the green background in the card text.
Oh, fair enough. And also the fact that it doesn't have depletion counters on it.
Yes.
Not sure if you caught that, but our TO, Chris Cornejo, just let us know that today we had 66 players for this event tonight.
That's a world record, isn't it?
That is stone cold bananas. That's so many.
Are bananas usually cold? I always thought they were room temperature unless you freeze them. I guess if you freeze them, they're stone cold.
There's always room in the banana stand.
There's always money in the banana stand. So it looks like there's going to be an exploration here from Sean on turn 2, and then he's going to play another Tranquil Thicket. So
he's got a slow start into a fast start into a slow start.
But it looks like Zach's not doing anything on his side of the board, so I imagine this Wasteland might actually just get popped off on his Caracas. Maybe he wants to save it for another Blue Spores. Not 100% sure. I think there's a lot of different options. He doesn't have a loam right now, so...
Leading with the Caracas is a little suspect.
I feel like if you play Caracas against your opponent's Wasteland, you're saying, hey, I want you to Wasteland this.
I think it looks like Sean doesn't want to take the bait here.
Looks like Sean just has a bunch of lands in his hand, so not a lot of action, but the deck doesn't really need a lot of lands to prosper.
Sure.
So it looks like he's going to float a green mana, and then...
Is he going to blow his Wasteland on Tranquil Thicket?
I'm thinking he might. I would only do that if there's a loam in your hand, though.
That would be an exceptionally clairvoyant play. Oh, he's just casting Living Wish. It wasn't Scavenging Ooze at all. It was the Living Wish.
Okay.
The Judge Foil.
Judge Foil. And that's going to get Spell Slam, actually. Zach does love that card, and this is the reason why. It's a huge tempo play. It's card trade. It's really good with Snapcaster Mage as well.
Absolutely.
So we're going to see first land for the turn. He still gets another land this turn, so we'll see if he decides to jam second land. It's another Wasteland, so I imagine this Wasteland might actually just pop back like this.
I think you're right. But instead, he's going to cast
another Living Wish? Yes, it is.
There it is.
Another Living Wish.
Oh, my goodness. I wish that you hadn't countered the first one, is what Sean's certainly saying.
Yeah, you can't wish for the first wish, though. No, not only is it not a legal card, but not maybe except
Meets a Force of Will.
And that Force is pitching a Snapcaster, so that Snapcaster really wanted to flash back that Spell Slam.
We see Sean, after his sequence of plays, out of action with the exception of a crop rotation. Zach playing his third land. You think it's just going to... Did I see a turn in out of him, or is it that's a Vendilion?
I believe it's a Vendilion Click, which I imagine is just going to get flashed in here on draw step, probably.
Yeah. Definitely make Sean a little more excited to blow his Wasteland on these Caracases. Interesting.
Looks like in response to this Vendilion Click, we're going to get a spell.
Yeah, I'm going to rotate these Tranquil Thickets into... I don't even know.
Probably Rishadan Port, Grove of the Burning Willows, maybe.
Rishadan Port.
I like Rishadan Port here. When you have two Wastelands, your opponent has two non-basics and a basic.
Not certain that he has it.
I feel like you got to run. You got to run. I think I just saw one.
I think he just scrolled through a Mossfire Valley.
Okay, I actually don't know what that card does.
That's okay. Mossfire Valley is like Gruul Signet.
Oh, is one tap, add red green?
And it is a land, that's right.
I know the art of that card.
Sean, you know what? Sean might make a third Wasteland in response to this Vendilion Click, and then get Zach with two of his lands. See how he feels about the exploration.
So it's another exploration.
That was his draw for the turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he cast a crop rotation, got a Thespian stage, and then
pretty reasonable.
Moved to his main phase and has exploration. Zach can't really care that much about it. So he's going to copy a Caracas.
He wants a Caracas.
And I'm going to waste your Caracas.
For a second, I thought that the Legend was going to kill both of the lands.
It's been a little while since then.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case here.
We're going to see a Brainstorm here.
So it looks like Zach did have a True Nemesis he could have cast on that turn.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like Vendilion Click more. If your opponent draws a life from one or has one in hand, you get to eat it right away.
Sure, but Sean started his turn with one card in hand.
Okay.
I think
he didn't have the mana for life from one last turn, did he? He casted two Living Wishes.
That's right. I think. I suppose you want to play the Living Wishes at first.
Is that a third Living Wish?
I believe it is yet a third Living Wish.
Judge Foil Living Wish?
I wish that you had not countered the first two.
Yeah.
Looks like this one's going to resolve and it's going to find Dark Depths.
Makes sense. He's got the combo in play now. And that Thespian stage is still copying Caracas, so he doesn't even have to worry about taking damage from that Vendilion Click here.
Oh, that's pretty slick.
I imagine that's why he did it.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. He wants to...
Especially when Zach doesn't have enough lands in play to recast it.
Yeah. Would have to have back-to-back lands here.
Like what chat's saying, people are always a little confused when we get these decks that are very strange, very rare out.
Yeah, Sean playing something super close to a commander deck here.
It feels like a commander deck, and there's a 2020, and I imagine that's going to walk up.
You know, that's there it is. And he has the full signed token,
of course,
for the slide rags here.
It didn't look like it was sleeved though.
Well, I think you're right. Don't want to run the risk. I think it might have that token may have a magic back.
I think it does.
It's from that era, as I recall.
Cold Snap?
Yes.
It was the first time they ever did a token for like a special event. I think it was the pre-release foil for that event. I believe so. The pre-release foil for Cold Snap?
I think Could it have been?
I think it
Pre-release
is.
foil?
I believe so. I believe that's how you found it.
No,
Where else do you-
it's Allosaurus Rider is the pre-release foil for Snap.
Then how do you get Mirage? Where does it come from?
It could have. Oh, I see a Blood Moon coming up for Zach. Blood Moon probably will be good against Sean's deck, I think.
Looks like he also has a Wear Tear there. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe he's afraid of Chalice Silver Void. I guess.
Where did he Wear Tear? The Wear Tear was over there.
Zach's boarding in Wear Tear. It is currently in the pile that is to the
I see,
left
I see.
of his deck, nearest to the dice.
If I were Sean, I couldn't bear the thought of a Wear Tear. I'll stop. I'm sorry.
What about a Spell Snare? Or is that just up there?
Oh God, you're the worst.
Just trying to give you a bit of a scare.
I hate this.
Trying to think of one with pair, but it's not coming to me.
Yeah, you'd have to sequence it pretty well in order to make that pair.
Yeah.
That's easily a pair. And anyway, go back down to the match here. I think we should go. I think we all need to leave. And that was a really. That whole game was really something, I think.
Yeah.
Sean led with the Tranquil Thicket, and then one shot at his opponent.
Yes.
I don't expect to see that very much.
I do. When I see Tranquil Thicket, I assume it's lands. Maybe it's aggro loam.
Sure. And both of those Life from the Loam strategies, trying to generate a really fast, cheap creature for a 3 mana in the form of either Knight of the Reliquary, or in this case, was Mirrored Lage, Indestructible Flying 2020.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You got me tripping now. I'm trying to figure out where you get this the 2020 token. It might have been a Magic Player Rewards thing.
Oh. Chad, if any of you guys know, please tell us. We're very curious. Where does the Merit Lage token come from? Obviously, it gets created by the Dark Depths, but
It emerges.
as a Planeswalker, where do you pick one of those up? Besides the store. Or borrowing it from a friend when you borrow a deck with Dark Depths in it. That's usually what I do.
That's really the upper echelon quality, is when your friend gives you lands and then gives you the token. That's you know you're getting the high class treatment.
I'm always sad when someone lends me a deck with Batter Skulls and they don't give me a Germ token, so I have to like use the Divider or an empty sleeve or a die.
I like to use my phone for weird tokens in that case.
Okay.
And
It's bigger.
Yeah, I adopted the practice back when you had like the candy bar phones, but now I got a thing that fills up my entire pocket.
Gotcha. So it sounds like the Merit Lage is from Cold Snap launch, so the release card. It's the release foil, not
because
the
I remember
pre-release foil.
Allosaurus Rider was for sure the pre-release foil. Allosaurus Rider, one of the upgraded pitch spells. It's a star.
The green one.
Yeah, that's right. 7-drop Star, or Star plus 1.
I think it's Star. Farmer goes Star plus 1. I believe it's Star.
It could Allosaurus Rider could be a Star / Star plus 1.
Maybe it's Star plus 2. No.
That's crazy. How could it be a Star plus 2? Get out of here.
5 sevens?
7s? Hundreds?
And it's yes. And I believe that you can't get them in. You can't get the Merit Lages. There's no non-foil version. There's only the foil version.
Which is a shame for. Oh, looks like they just met. Oh, looks like our players just met down at the match.
Okay, that's great. I imagine that they've heard each other's names before. Sean's he's a judge in the area. Is he level 3 or?
He's a level 4. He's
Level
one
4.
of. Yeah, you may have heard Sean if you were at a Grand Prix. He may have been giving the opening announcements.
does like giving those out.
He does. Yeah. He's got a very smooth voice. I think looks a little bit like Robert Downey Jr.
I can see it.
Just a touch. I actually catch a lot of flack for that opinion.
I wouldn't say that he does, but I can see where it comes from. I respect your opinion.
Okay, that's really the best I've ever gotten. I think I'll probably have to retire that opinion now.
Okay. Our chat's giving us good jokes too.
You guys are straight hunnets in here. I tell you. So going to the second game, see Zach on the play. Is he running Wasteland in the
I
strategy?
do not believe so. Maybe he's got 1 or 2. I don't think so though.
Stoneblade deck does like to get up to that 5 mana point. So
It's a grindier deck, so it doesn't really care that much about Land Disruption.
Yeah.
Land Disruption is usually one of those strategies that you want to hit them early and hope that it stalls them for 3 or 4 turns and gives you enough window to secure the game.
Makes sense, yeah. A different way that match could have gone down is like land the True Nemesis and bust out a lot of Wastelands. Try to stop Sean from doing the thing that he was doing.
Yeah, and that'd be a very good strategy up until Sean draws a life and that stops the game strategy.
Fair enough. But True Nemesis tries to run through that clock before the Life and Loam engine could really get online. Sean died at 17, so it didn't look like it was going to go well for him either one or the other.
Yeah, there was a few turn clock on a Vendilion Click or Snapcaster Mage, or Vendilion Click between Nemesis, but no. So this hand from Zach, it looks like he's got a couple lands, 3 lands.
That's a Ponder.
Ponder, Counterspell, I believe that's a Wear Tear.
What's that whiteboard card in?
I believe that is a Mishra. What's the main one? The 2
Oh, the factory?
Factory. Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always get Factory and Workshop mixed up, which is very strange because I know the deck is called Shops in Vintage.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
It plays Mishra's Factory. That's the problem.
It is the factory. You see a Ponder leading this out?
Reasonable choice. And it looks like that's 2 Ents and a Pithing Needle, so I'd imagine you keep that. I'm not sure exactly the order. I imagine you don't want the Crocus, but you want the other 2. Maybe you want to hold on to the Crocus. If your opponent makes a 20-20, you want a clean way to answer it.
Yeah. At least have an opportunity to sandbag it for a while. Sean looks like it's a Crossing. Oh, he's playing too many foils. I can't see what's going on in
Got a lot
there.
of Judge foils too, which have alternate arts.
Sean, one of many judges who have received